Uncle Tom. That's when some black people called me after I told the uncomfortable truth. White people didn't invent slavery. Well, I've been reading the book. And you know what's ironic? Uncle Tom is the hero. Uncle Tom's Cabin was published in 1852 by Harriet Beecher Stowe. Stowe wrote it after the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, which legally required citizens to help capture freed slaves, was passed. The book had a clear anti-slavery message and depicted the evils of slavery, and it was a viral hit. It sold over 300,000 copies in its first year. It was the best-selling novel of the 19th century and second only to the Bible. Frederick Douglass and Booker T. Washington praised the book as one of the best things that happened for the cause of African American people. It massively galvanized the abolitionist movement in the North, so much so that Abraham Lincoln supposedly called Harriet Beecher Stowe the little lady who started the Civil War. Uncle Tom was a religious man who maintained his morality despite injustice. He was a martyr who was tortured to death for refusing to betray two women who escaped. He was the epitome of nonviolent resistance, a Christ-like figure who refused to hate his white slave masters even though they hated him, because he knew that hatred hurts both the hater and the hated. He was not a coward. He was not a traitor. He was a hero. So how did Uncle Tom get twisted from hero to villain? Propaganda by white supremacists. After the Civil War, white supremacists needed to discredit the book that helped end slavery. So they put on blackface in minstrel shows and twisted Uncle Tom from defiance into subservience. They desecrated his image. And 100 years later, black leaders took that bastardized image and used it against their own. Malcolm X called Martin Luther King and Uncle Tom for refusing to choose violence. Look, I'm not a victim here. I don't like name calling for people who look like me, but if I wanted to stop, I can just put down the mic. But I do want to reflect this to those saying it. When you call me an Uncle Tom, you are using the slurs of your forefathers' oppressors.
So we're going to go into this debate about Uncle Tom. This is a kind of a term used against like people like me, black conservatives, not even black conservatives specifically, but it's against black people that don't believe that racism is as big of an issue as black liberals like to make it out to be. And it's becoming like almost like a gaslighting kind of term now that I see in society that's really getting some pushback, especially from black conservatives, that because we see that moniker like, oh, Uncle Tom. Okay, so what makes me Uncle Tom? Oh, because you vote for Republican. Oh, you support Trump. Trump's a racist. Okay, can you prove to me how he's a racist? Because the reason I'm voting for the guy is because I believe he's not a racist. So if you have some concrete proof that he is one, tell me. And then they go on this diatribe of things they perceive as racism, but they can't prove as racism. Then you figure out, as you ask questions, you figure out that this person has a different definition of racism compared to you do. So you're like, how is calling me names helping your argument? And this is the problem that a lot of black liberals find themselves in, right? They're the ones that said, hey, we're not the ones focusing on race. It's these racist white people that keep bringing race into the conversation. Joy Reid is predominantly known for this kind of stuff. White people can't invent anything. They steal ideas from blacks. Then my butt goes, okay, let me see something that black people damn. If that ingenuity is inherent in black people, why aren't black people creating new things now? Why aren't I seeing black people create rockets that can mount themselves back in place like Elon Musk is doing? I know he's African American, but he's not exactly black. Now, would I like? Where's your version of Elon Musk? And this is type of things that when you have a theory in reality, white people can't invent anything. They steal ideas from blacks. All right, reality. Black people, I don't see black people in sciences like that. I don't see black inventors like that. And instead, I see a lot in our culture, they denigrate and make fun of black people that displays the attributes of someone who will be inventing things. And this is the conundrum that a lot of black conservatives call out about black culture, right? And then you want to call people like me names because we pointed it out, because we're not making excuses for it. And I think that's one of the most toxic aspects of black culture. The fact that we don't like to call out and hold our own people accountable.
So I think I'm coming from a place, and I guess my issue is having had my biological father murdered by a black man, having had my cousin shot in the head by a black man. We can talk numbers and statistics and what the people are doing, and what the white man is doing, and all that. But at the end of the day, I see when my family lives on the south side of Chicago, and I think you and I both can attest to this, and I'm not saying that there are not other factors, but we know that we kill each other at a disproportionate rate than any other race. Now, why we do that and why 6,000 to 9,000 black men are going to be homicided or killed or whatever by the end of the year annually by other black men, whereas the likelihood of a black man being killed by a white police officer is less than 150 per year, we know that we kill each other at a higher rate. So I'm not debating that there are not factors at play, but because I've lived the experience as a black woman losing my father to be murdered by a black man, walking down the street,
by the way.
No worries, thank you. But walking down the street in inner cities and different things, knowing that it's more likely that my own brother will rob and rape me than a white man or a white officer, we got to be real.
What's your proximity to white men in the south side of Chicago? Are there even white men around to rob and rape you at the same rate that there are black men?
There are white men around.
At the same rate?
There wasn't a lot of black people in there, but then that doesn't justify the fact that we're destroying each other. So even if we get to the root, like
we can agree on that,
okay,
sis.
because I feel like a lot of
Nothing
times liberals will
justifies.
argue like, well,
I'm not
the
a
white people
liberal.
are killing
I am
people.
I'm not a liberal.
Okay, well, I will say that people that sometimes have your stance that are against conservatives, maybe they have this claim that they're making it up, they're making up the numbers. We know that we do that to each other. So I want to get to the root of the issue. Why are we killing each other? I think the root of the issue is we've lost our values and we've lost our resilience as black people. We sit there and we talk about what the white man did and we talk about slavery and everything like that, but we have no self-accountability and say, you know what, at the end of the day, that is my black grandmother, that is my black sister, you are my black sister, and you know that a black man is more likely to rob you or commit some type of crime against you, and that's what we need to get down to the issue of. And like you were talking about earlier, like, hey, well, what's going on? You know, what do you think the answer is to one of the brothers that were speaking? I think it's the breakdown of the family. I think, like he said, because of our poor choices, and what happens is we look at domestic violence, for example. When domestic violence, women or men are even attacked, what is the first thing we say? It's like, you know what? It's not your what? It's not your fault. So that's what we do. We hold on to this narrative that, well, it's not our fault, and the issues in our community are not our fault, and the white man needs to give us something. The old white lady down the street is looking at me, and I don't know why she got braids in her hair. And we focus on all these other stupid things that don't matter. We don't get to the root of the fact that we're killing each other at a higher rate than any other race. It is self-hatred amongst us. I believe that we can do that. That my cousin, my mom's cousin, excuse me, coming from the church parking lot, and guess who stuck her up and robbed her at gunpoint? A black man.
I need you to get to the point.
Like,
so
my
I can
point
respond.
is that no, and I'm not trying to be funny. Unless, like you said, we're gonna keep it respectful.
Yeah, but you're monopolizing the whole conversation.
I'm
we're
not trying.
being
Okay, I'm
able
gonna let
to-
you speak, but let's not.
Can give everyone here like a $50,000 check, especially people that are in the streets who are committing violent crimes consistently. A $50,000 check, it's not going to fix anything. It's not going to increase the median household income in the next 10 years by 10% or 20%. For example, we have the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. We prevented Chinese people from getting citizenship and even entering the country. We discriminated against them and basically put them under apartheid, even here in the United States. Yet they have the highest median household income. How is that possible? How come they don't complain and feel entitled consistently to beg for reparations and beg for this when they are killing each other 90% of the time, which is the rate that black people kill each other, according to the FBI?
Oh, young Matt.
Yet white people are the oppressors.
I'm not sure where your education came from, but they lied to you.
Stats don't lie, though.
Statistics lie all the time. So let's start there, particularly when the statistics are coming from the sources that gain from the statistics being shown a different way. So if you're going to start your argument on stats don't lie, you've already lost the argument. They lie all the time. Yeah. One, comparing Chinese people who are immigrants that made a choice to come to the United States and comparing the continued effort of black people to ground themselves in a nation that continues to make impediments for them to show and live and exist in their true citizenship is a false equivalency.
I don't believe that happens at all. No one here is
Are you acting right now? Do you really believe
I'm telling
this?
the truth. There's no systemic racism that I've experienced here in America. What system is racist? I think the only racism we've actually seen recently, systemic racism that we've seen, is the application of systemic racism against white people. The University of Western Washington, for example, has been trying to segregate dormitories, using black-only dormitories because black people feel safer amongst each other. But they're more likely to kill each other than white people are ever to kill them.
Amanda Seals is her name, right? And you saw from the intro, not the intro, you saw from the segment that this black woman, black conservative woman, articulated exactly what's wrong with the black community. Hey, a lot of the bad outcomes that the black community has is self-inflicted, is internal conflict. And until we change the incentive in our culture, like the snitches get stitches, that crap that creates a bad incentive in your culture. If you have a culture where you cannot, where people will shame you, essentially, because at the end of the day, I talked about shame and praise. Shame negatively prescribe a negative action where you're saying you want less of this and you want more of something else. Show me the incentive of your culture and I'll show you the outcome. So if you're in a culture where people are shamed for telling the police what happened and actually able to tell you information that will be valuable to them of apprehending someone who victimized another, they'll shame you as someone not wanted in the community. Are you surprised that the crime in predominantly black neighborhoods are so high? When you have a culture like that festering in your community, are you surprised that criminals are emboldened to rob and stuck up a lady in front of a bank after she just finished getting money from the bank in a predominantly black neighborhood? Are you surprised about the murder rates on how black people treat each other, but we're worried about what the white man doing? But when you look at it objectively, a black person is more likely to kill me than a white person. I have a 76% chance that if you hear Keeney got murdered on the streets of Florida, you have a 70, and you just guess who the perpetrator is. If you guess black, you'll be 76% of the time right. Yet when we want to call out, hey, we need snitches. We need people to tell and inform the police. We need people to work with the police, to hold these people accountable, to find these people, so that way they stop victimizing our people, black people. These woke people, they always want to sit here and complain about how black men are disproportionately in the prison system, when they don't want to complain about the fact that black men disproportionately commit crimes compared to other races of people. Black people are disproportionately victimized in crime. They don't want to talk about that. How are you 13% of the population, but you represent 43% of victims of violent crime? You don't talk about that disparity. Because then if we go with this narrative of, oh, any disproportional outcomes prove racism, this is the woke radical mindset about race issues in America, then you have to admit that black people are racist against each other. And in a way, the Uncle Tom label, the Uncle Tom moniker, is kind of proof of what I'm speaking about. Is that you look at a black person differently not because of the color of the skin, you practice a different kind of discrimination, but because of his beliefs. And what he believes is the path of the better path for the black community. Make that make sense. So I'm not your brother anymore because I decide that there's a different way we should be doing things in our community, in our culture, and I advocate for that. You're mad that I have a different opinion from you, and you want to call me a coon Uncle Tom sellout for that? What a dumb idea. What a stupid idea. And you wonder why black people are at the bottom. You wonder why black people are stagnant. Why the black people are behind. Because your culture has systematically created an incentive where you demonize people that will have the ability to actually bring us up into a higher level, to be more competitive with other groups of people. You denigrate the nerd. You denigrate the person who knows how to speak proper English, who knows how to communicate across racial groups, not only just to his own people. You denigrate people like that. You shame people like that as less black. This ghetto hood culture is what's holding the black community back. And instead of calling it out, because in my estimation, the thing that's toxic about black culture is the fact that black people who are law-abiding, who follow the law, who do what they're supposed to do, who are productive members of society, use their cultural standing to protect the ghetto aspects of our culture. When you look at other groups of people, Asians, Hispanics, white people, they don't do that for their ghetto people. White ghetto people, the white rednecks, you don't see the proper white productive people really defend them like that. They don't highlight these people as what it means to be white culture. They don't put these people up. And it goes back to this conversation about the black image. And this is the funny part about black liberals. They like to complain about black imagery, but a lot of the institutions that push these Hollywood production videos, they put this image of the black male and the black woman dynamic and the black dynamic out here in America are institutions overwhelmingly run by liberals. We know this about Hollywood, but they want to get mad where there's a prejudice, a stereotype about black America, when the liberal institutions themselves are the one pushing that. Make that make sense. right? And I want to put more of these videos up because I want to put another monologue. And unfortunately, I can't react to it live because Jubilee would copyright my videos. And I feel like, yo, why you copyrighting my stuff? And I'm only using like 2 minutes of your stuff. And most of the video is me rambling, but Jubilee will still make a copyright claim. I want to show you another video kind of analog of a black conservative essentially calling out Amanda on this narrative about reparations. Let's take a look.
Our ancestors wasn't asking for handouts. They were asking for equal opportunity. And we have equal opportunity in this country. We had a black president, just in case you didn't know. We had a black president and we had a black vice president. I mean, I think she was black. They said she was black. I don't know. So we had a black president, and you know who voted for that black man? White people, because you can't win a popular election in this country without white people. So Barack Obama is the product of white people. So let's get off this thing where, oh, America is so racist. What's making America so racist is people that continue to talk about racism and continue to focus on racism instead of focusing on unity and bringing our country forward. People that have these liberal mindset are infecting our communities, black people, and making us victims and not victors. I refuse to embrace a victim mentality because that's not what our grandparents and Harriet Tubman and those people fought for. They fought for equal opportunity.
Do not bring up Harriet Tubman's name in vain, baby, please.
They said the Lord's name in vain. The Lord's name.
Harriet Tubman was literally saving her family and others from slavery.
Yeah. You know who helped her? White people.
You know who helped her?
They were on the Underground Railroad.
No,
Come on in.
No, you know who helped her?
Come on in.
No, you know who helped her?
God and
people who benefit from white supremacy. One of the things
it's a lie. White supremacy is a lie.
No, sir,
it's
that's
a
simply
lie.
not
There's
true.
no such. I mean,
if that were not the case, then we wouldn't see the continued effort of colonialism and white people placing themselves in positions of power when they do not have the power.
Because their culture. Black culture is toxic. The black culture is toxic. We have produced a culture that is toxic. And let's get on the fact that there's no fathers in the black home. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Stop.
Let's talk about that.
None of this is gonna work if y'all are just gonna sit here and make up shit.
It's
not gonna work. No, a debate has to be in facts.
You're putting off emotional liberalism right now.
I am not putting off emotional liberalism. You're putting off unfounded lies based in conservatism.
Misinformation. Remember they did the misinformation thing all summer where everything conservative did. They said misinformation.
You're carrying a chain around your neck of an apartheid nation that actively wants to harm black people and non-Jewish people. But let me bring it back. Let me bring it back.
Selling black people in Africa.
That was not happening in the context that you're saying.
And they were selling their own people. Black people still sell their own people today too, by the way.
I don't know if I'm going to last.
We're selling our own people today too.
I don't know if I'm going to last.
You probably won't last with me.
I won't, because your ignorance is so overwhelming.
See, that's liberals. Y'all start name calling when y'all getting defeated in an argument.
So, as a final thought, I want to kind of bring up. You saw you heard pretty much the clip. She made all these assertions, right? She name call them, and these are common tactics that even in my personal life, I experienced a similar kind of vibe to this too. So you'll say, "Oh, you got a chain around your neck, you're this and that," and all I ask is, where was the lie? Where did I lie? Did I lie about the fact that black people victimize other black people at a greater proportion? You give some different context for that, but the fact is that is the case. So the argument is why we don't focus on what we doing, what we need to do to improve our stipulation in life. Like, end of the day, we shouldn't be relying on other people to go out of their way to help us when it's our primary responsibility to help ourselves. And this is why I said embracing personal responsibility is the cure to this mentality that the black liberal wants to push into our communities. We tried it the black liberals way. This is the outcome. Everything here, the current state of the black community is the outcome of the black liberals' mentality when it comes to race and reparations. Passivity. You're waiting for the white man, this colonial government, to give you money. Make that make sense. And the whole premise of reparations is flawed in the first place. So you want money based off the suffering of your ancestors. So you want to personally benefit off the suffering of your ancestors when your ancestors didn't even want the reparations in the first place. But here you are, sitting on your knees begging a bunch of white people who had nothing to do with slavery. More people died during the Civil War than owned slaves. Only 2% of white people in their history If you want to talk about race, in their history, had slaves, owned slaves. Oh, it was a system. Democrats were the one protecting it during those times, and they still do in some manners, right? But you want to pretend, KKK, the conservatives are so racist. Look at the policies. Let's look at the outcomes. Who support Planned Parenthood? Planned Parenthood, you 13% of the population, but 44%, 40% of babies aborted are black? So by your liberal logic, is abortion racist? You'll find some excuse. But this is the problem that conservatives are having. It's like, hey, abortion, for instance. If black women wasn't aborting their kids at 40%, based on the exponential growth of a population based on births and stuff, we could have been the second largest voting bloc in the United States of America today. And guess what? We lost that to what? The Hispanics. But historically, black people have been here longer. So wouldn't it make sense technically that black people should be the second largest population in America? But we're still fighting for second because of the Hispanics. Make that make sense? We lost political power following behind the liberals' orthodoxies when it comes to abortion. Make that make sense? Margaret Sanger, avid racist. Oh, she believed black people were weeds in this country. You were doing exactly as they wanted you to. The same way that you're using Uncle Tom as a denigrating slur against black conservatives. And that's why I say that the black people, the black America, sorry, I'm just calling it from a cultural point of view, politically. The black community suffers from a lack of diversity of thought. That's it. When you have a group of people, especially black women, right? I'm sorry, black women. I don't mean to pick on you, but I'm just saying facts. Don't get mad at me. 91% of black women, 93% of black women are Democrats. That means only 7% of my female counterparts will understand where I'm coming from when I'm making this commentary. And the fact that Amanda Steele you know why they protect us? They help slaves free? Because they're trying to protect a system of white supremacy. What? You should have seen the face in the video. And you go watch the video. I encourage people to go watch that video. Because these are some of the kind of conversations that I was subject to. Name calling, no real substantive argument, no ability to inform me of their worldview. Because as a conservative, and I think I'll leave it off here, as a conservative, all I can really offer is clarity for why I believe the things that I believe. Now, if you believe I'm believing misinformation or I have outdated data, like just look at the stats. Who's more likely to be poor? A single mother or a married mother? Who's more likely to be poor? If you look at stats, married people are less likely to be in poverty than single people. Fact. So if you're a single mom, right, and you worried about poverty in a community, black community has almost a 70%, almost an 80% single motherhood rate in its community compared to other groups of people. White people are at 40%. Asians are like at 10%. Hispanics are about around there too. They're like around 40%, 46% Hispanics of single mother households. Black community is at 70%. And you wonder why we're one of the poorest demographics in the nation? When 70% of your kids are born to single mothers and all the negative correlations that happen with single mother households, you don't have any parental guidance. Look at all the teen takeovers. People are wondering, where are these kids' parents? Most likely, majority of them come from a single mother home household. There's videos out there constantly. And this look, social media, look, you can't hide it no more, Black America. You can't hide it no more. You can't keep making excuses for this. And I think that's the number one thing that's been emboldening the bad kind of negative aspects of Black people in our community is that they know they're not going to get checked by their own. Because if a Black person do some ignorant-ish and they get checked by someone who's not Black, they'll just call them a racist. And if they get checked by someone who is Black, they'll get called an Uncle Tom McCoon. You see how it works? They don't want accountability. And Black America needs to understand from a conservative point of view that accountability, personal responsibility, and embracing that is the only path forward to gaining power back in our column again. Because the time of white guilt supplying Black power, it's over. I don't want other groups of people to feel guilty because of their skin color just to make Black people feel better about themselves. Hell no. That's not being treated like an equal. But this is what Black liberals want. And they wonder why they're slowly losing Black men. Black men don't want to be subject to that. We want to determine our own fate. And this victimization, this victim mentality is not very attractive for black men right now. Black men are just turning that off. We don't want to hear none of that. We don't like none of that. And then the black woman is mad at us. Oh, why are you voting for Trump? What do you mean why I'm voting for Trump? Why would I not vote for Trump? You ain't offering nothing. You just offering the same thing, different package. But I already saw the result. I already saw how it plays out voting Democrat for 60 years. Doing the same damn thing, voting for the same damn party and expecting something different. That's insanity. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. I'd like to hear your thoughts and your perspective on this matter. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.